I would wake up in the morning, swig some vodka just to get myself up, go downstairs, make breakfast and just let me have another sip.
You're having a bit of a stressful day, you know, just pick up some drink on the way home.
Getting ready to go out the house, definitely need more.
I would sit there and I would be clock watching. Is anyone going to notice that I'm missing from my desk again?
It would just get louder and louder and louder and louder, and the only thing that could shut this voice up was to just drink.
A functioning alcoholic, that's what I was. When people say the word alcoholic, they instantly have a vision of an old man sitting over a park with a paper bag with a can in it.
I don't think of
A top PA working for a CEO in the city.
a young teenage girl with her whole life ahead of her.
A mum with two amazing children who they wasn't enough for me to be able to stop.
In the UK we have a drinking culture here, so it's normalised across the board, so it's very difficult to spot who has a problem and who doesn't.
A lot of my friends at the time could have several drinks and stop and go to bed and go to sleep. I never wanted the party to end. I used to go out all the time to all the pubs and bars down here, half-price drinks. I felt so good when I drank, and I'd have this intense craving for more, the next one, the next one. And when I was coming to the point where I would be running out, I would start to panic and think, right, where am I going to get more?
The very first job I ever had was in media. The whole drinking culture was not just accepted, but expected. I always managed to get very, very good jobs. Sometimes part of being an alcoholic is most alcoholics are actually naturally very charming people. To start off, you know, I see this party girl that had lots of friends and was very sociable and seemed to be making it in the world. That facade kind of quickly faded.
I did drink socially a lot because I have a lot of friends that drink. It would take all my anxiety away. I'd be able to talk to people more. When everybody had gone home and was suffering with a hangover, I was going back to the shop and buying 2 bottles of wine and sitting indoors on my own.
I would get into work and I knew that at 10 o'clock there was a shop round the corner that opened that sold alcohol. So quite often I would put a meeting in my diary. That would give me a reason to be out of the office for half an hour. I would come back and there was a disabled toilet and I kind of had my supply kit. There was like a little hiding place and I would go and put my bottle of vodka in there. There was a toothbrush and toothpaste and mouthwash and perfume. I would have chosen alcohol over someone I loved. You know, alcohol and drugs were more important to me than my marriage.
I used to look at both my kids and think, you've got to do it for them now. I just couldn't control it. Sorry, get upset.
Alcoholism destroys families and relationships. It's the process of having to hide your problem away from your loved ones, from your families, where that is such a painful place to be, that essentially you feel that you can't go on living.
By that point, I had pretty much lost everything. I had to move out of a beautiful flat that I was living in. I'd lost my job.
An extremely low point was one New Year's. I was away with some friends and I didn't have a good time. I was walking along the cliff tops and I just genuinely did not want to be alive anymore.
I just wanted to take myself out, so I didn't have to go through that shame of telling people what the problem really was.
And I just looked out to the sea and I really just thought, this is my life, I'm miserable, I'm losing people around me.
And I took a lot of tablets. My friend came down to my room and found me unconscious in my bed. And the only thing that I do remember is hearing my mum scream.
And that was several months before I got sober. I had no idea that this year that I thought was the worst year was going to be the best year.
As scared as I was to break out of that relationship, it was becoming a matter of life or death.
I just remember sort of waking up, and I'd kind of been on this like weekend bender. It was like a spark had been lit inside of me, and I realised that I wanted to live. I wanted to live a life free of these chains that I'd been shackled in.
There is help available. Call a helpline. Speak to somebody. People aren't alone. You're not the only person. It's about, for the first time, actually coming out of isolation and being in a community where you can express what's truly going on for yourself and addressing those problems.
Double pleasure.
I often refer to it as my ex-husband, and he was the most gorgeous thing in the world. This person still loves me and wants me, even after all these years.
It is like it talks to you. It sounds crazy, but it is.
It's like, you know, if the day ends in Y, it's a reason to drink.
I took my daughter into a supermarket before, she's had a tantrum and someone would turn around and say, oh, but you can't wait for that glass of wine when you get in.
It's Coca-Cola o'clock now, yeah.
For the alcoholic who's just gone through treatment and going back into society, it's a massive problem being surrounded by alcohol because it's so normalised and legal.
Society is flooded. On my Instagram, you know, things come up, you know, adverts for vodka, and they make it look really glamorous, and all these funky coloured gins and beautifully decorated boxes of champagne, and it plays into the whole romanticising that people do around drinking.
Women especially find it very difficult to admit that they've got a problem with alcohol. Mums even more so, because no mum wants to say, I have a problem with alcohol, and some people do, and it's okay. There's a cow. Each day now I can get up in the morning and I can concentrate on my family, my children. I live for them.
There's still parts of me that are vulnerable, but I'm completely different. I'm sort of like a phoenix that's risen from the ashes.
Sometimes the best days are the days where it's been absolutely shocking and awful and the worst day ever, and I haven't picked up a drink.
There's not a day that I don't think about alcohol. It's in my mind every day, but it is no longer at the forefront, and I will continue to do each day at a time the strongest that I can.